Hey guys, so originally this movie was going to be included in the what I've been watching lately type video that I'm going to be doing another one of later this month, and so I decided to watch this film last night in order to be able to talk about it in the future, right? Just, you know, getting it out of the way because it was on my list to watch. But after watching the movie, I knew it was my duty to come and make a full video on it for you guys, telling you not to watch it. This movie is bad on so many levels. Like, we have so much to talk about. It's not even funny. And also, just a warning, this whole video is going to have spoilers in it. I can't avoid that. And that's okay because you don't need to watch this movie. Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Just don't watch it, please. Watch this video instead. Don't watch the movie. It's so rare that I get to talk about a seriously bad film because usually I avoid them and I don't really end up seeing them. So this movie was on my list because it involves true crime, obviously. It involves the story of Sharon Tate being murdered by the Manson family. And also it stars Hilary Duff, which is probably the worst part of this movie, unfortunately. And it was a piece that I was really looking forward to, even though she's never really been the best actor in the world. But on a nostalgia level, I was looking forward to her in this movie. Even though I thought it was really tone deaf for her to take a role like this, but here we are. So we have two big issues about this film that we're going to cover, and I don't know which one to start with first. The fact that this whole movie was exploiting the situation and turned it into a fictional horror movie when in reality it was someone's real life horror. Or should we talk about the technical aspects of this film that made it so bad? What do we cover first? I don't even know. Let's start on a technical level, okay? Just this movie is horrible. I know it's really rare for me to say that. And actually, I don't think I've ever said that on this channel where I'm like, don't watch this movie, like, don't waste your time with it. And the reason why I'm so strong like about that opinion is because not only is it bad technically, but it's bad on like an ethical level. And just the fact that it was done at all, I think, is so horrible. So that kind of underscores the fact that you shouldn't watch this movie for technical reasons. Before we get into the actual things that are wrong with it, I do want to give a quick synopsis as to why this movie was made, or like what is the backstory. Even though we already know what the story is for the most part, I think a lot of people know about the murders of the Manson family and everything, but I will say that's kind of a downfall for this movie. It does kind of make you have to know a little bit of the backstory in order to follow who everyone is, because they don't really go into detail about who these people are. So you kind of already have to know what has happened and like the events and the people involved and things like that. But basically this movie was inspired by an actual Sharon Tate interview where she had said that she had had a nightmare a year before her death. So she had said this 1 year prior to her death, saying that she had a horrible nightmare that her and her friend were like strung up in her living room with their throats slashed. And then of course a year later the actual events happen. And so this movie kind of follows that idea where the beginning of the movie starts out of Hilary Duff as Sharon Tate stating how she has these nightmares, even though the guy's like, have you had any like psychic moments or premonitions? And she's like, well, I had this dream once, but she doesn't know that that's a psychic moment. It's just a nightmare, you know? And then she basically comes home from wherever Roman Polanski, her husband, is, and there are her two friends who are house sitting for her and living in her house to take care of it. And they stay to protect her. And then her friend Jay, I think his name is there. And at first I thought it was going to be supernatural, to be honest, and it kind of is at some points in time, and that's really lame to me. But a lot of the horror aspects of this movie, you know, ignoring the fact that it's really insensitive, but a lot of the horror aspects come from like her nightmares and things. So she starts like seeing things, she's seeing people that end up murdering her. There's this like question of, can you change your fate? Like, are you always destined to whatever your fate is? Are you a prisoner to your fate? Or can you make a change and like actually change the outcome of what your fate has decided for you. So that's kind of like the overall plot of the film. And so eventually she does come face to face with the Manson family, and yeah. So the plot overall, like that part makes sense, right? But then you get into the like last 20 minutes of the film, makes no sense at all, and I don't even understand what happened. So when, this is a huge spoiler for the end of the film, but like I said, don't watch it, just listen to my rendition of it and just avoid the movie altogether. So she comes face to face with the Manson family, right? She like has a vision of them murdering her brutally, but then when she actually gets like involved in it, she decides to stand up and defend herself against these people and help save her friends that are in danger of being murdered by these people. So then eventually everyone survives, which is obviously not reality. But it's interesting because if you think back to the beginning of the movie, they show footage from, you know, when it happened and said that the body of Sharon Tate was found in this house and things like that. So you're like, but I thought she died, but then she saves everyone and they all live. And then you find out that they're ghosts that just walked away. And so then the final scene of the film is her holding her baby in her arms, which is horrifying. In case you didn't know the detail of that, she was 8 months pregnant on the day that she was murdered in real life and in the movie. So she's holding the baby and she walks towards her friends and they just walk away. So the beginning tells us that they died, and then the events start happening like midway and you're like, oh, this is happening really early, that's weird. And then you find out it's just a dream that she had and it's like a vision, right? And then they do actually come in reality and they all survive, but just kidding, they're ghosts. And they did actually die. None of those things you just saw actually happen. So first thing right off the bat, Hilary Duff can't act in this movie, right? Cannot. I don't know what the accent is. The accents from everybody come and go a lot. They do use a lot of recycled footage, and this is one of my pet peeves, when they just don't change some things about the recycled footage. Like I could notice it right off the bat when editor or whatever is just reusing the same footage that they used previously. There's a specific scene of The Office with the tape player or whatever, record, whatever. It's in the movie 3 times. They used the same footage 3 times. I know that's really nitpicky because it's like, it's just a clip. It's like a short 10-second thing, but it really annoys me when they reuse footage like that. Another thing that was horrible is the fact that the budget was so low, they could not get proper microphones or boom mics or whatever for outdoor scenes. So any outdoor scenes were dubbed over, and terribly. Also, any of the blood splatter, like the movement of the blood, like when the blood was on them, it was fine, but any like movement of the blood, like coming out of a body, was CG'd and looked so bad. Like, so even the water when she's in the bathroom, the tub is filling and then all of a sudden blood comes out, that is CG'd into the stream of water and it looks terrible. So that's all what was kind of wrong technically, and you know, one of the reasons why you shouldn't watch it. But on another note, you shouldn't watch it because I just felt gross watching it. Like, I should not support this movie and I should not be watching this right now because, like I said, it was someone's real life horror. Like, this is someone's reality and they're recreating these events so brutally in, you know, as a horror movie, and using these murders for shock factor and for scares in a horror movie just seems so distasteful to me. And you can argue that there are a lot of serial killer type fictional movies today. The day I'm filming this, the new Ted Bundy movie comes out on Netflix, which that'll be my next video, by the way, as a review for that, but I really wanted to talk about this first. Now, I haven't seen that, but I have to assume that everyone involved was a little bit more sympathetic about the actual reality and the actual crimes of Ted Bundy and not portraying it for shock value. And I don't know, I have my hopes that it's, you know, done tastefully. And also with a movie like My Friend Dahmer, I think was done well enough to where it showed his backstory and it was honest because it was told from one of his friends in high school. So it wasn't exploiting the whole event for the sake of entertainment. And I felt that's 100% exactly what Haunting of Sharon Tate. Did I even say the name of the movie at all in this video until now? No. I feel like The Haunting of Sharon Tate 100% exploited the actual events strictly for entertainment and to make a horror movie. And it's weird because Hilary Duff said that she was honored to play this role because Sharon Tate was an amazing woman. And it's like, if you admire her in any way, why would you agree to portray her in this way, in this movie? Also, I just want to mention that Hilary Duff was an executive producer on this film. And they finished filming in 2 weeks. Didn't take very long, and you can see why when you watch it. So Sharon Tate's sister has actually spoken out against this movie, saying that she does not support it. Her name is Deborah Tate, and she has said that it's been exploitive since day one. It's been the case since the media went crazy and has perpetuated mistruths, making things even more salacious. It's now morphed into something that is more fictionalized than truth at this point, to celebrate the killers and the darkest portion of society as being sexy or acceptable in any way, shape, or form is just perpetuating the worst of our society. And I 100% agree. I think we as a society are so fascinated by these people, but at the same time we're then creating this whole genre of exploiting the reality of these murders. And like I've talked about in my serial killer tattoo video, which I will link over here, I think, the more that we portray these killers, the more that we enjoy the entertainment aspect, and the more that we advertise their murders and their faces, the more encouraging it is for other people to then do the same thing that they did in order to get fame and notoriety. So just on like a deeper level, this movie is so wrong and done so poorly and not in a sensitive way at all. I mean, the scenes where you do see them being murdered, it's like should I even be watching this? I'm pretty sure they even used Charles Manson's real audio from his tape that he had made, because in case you didn't know, he was a musician back in the day. And I just thought that was in such poor taste to use the actual audio, and like, God forbid they see the movie. I mean, Deborah Tate has seen it or heard of it anyway, and probably does not want her sister to be glorified in this way, like her sister's murder to be glorified in this way. It's just strange that this movie even happened at all, and the plot made no sense whatsoever. Like, who approved it? Who wanted this? Like, no one asked for this. If you have seen it, I'd love to hear your opinion down below, but if you haven't, don't waste your time. Like, don't watch it. I know you're probably curious at this stage, like, is it really that bad? Like, I kind of want to see what she's talking about. Don't. It's not worth it. Just watch the trailer and just know that you will be completely unsatisfied if you decide to watch this movie. I want to shout out my main channel because I've been doing a bunch more like commentary style videos over there on like true crime and mental illness and mental health and things like that. So I definitely recommend checking it out. If you haven't been over to my main channel in a while, go check it out because it's more videos kind of like this one, just a little bit more commentary. So that is it for this video. Don't watch The Haunting of Sharon Tate. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon.